The illusion of control is something we hold on to dearly, as though it were the very foundation of our existence. From the moment we wake, we strive to shape the world around us, believing that if we can control our environment, we will find peace, stability, and certainty. But in truth, the more we attempt to control, the more we find ourselves tangled in the very threads we try to manage. Life, you see, is not something we can dominate. It is a flow, a river that moves with its own rhythm. We cannot dictate its course, nor can we predict the currents that will carry us. We are not the masters of this journey. We are simply participants in the grand unfolding. The more tightly we grasp at the illusion of control, the more we find ourselves trapped in a state of perpetual struggle, pushing against the very forces we cannot bend. The need for control is born from our fear of the unknown. We are afraid of what might happen if we let go, if we allow ourselves to float along the currents of life without resistance. But in holding on to this fear, we only create more suffering for ourselves. We mistake control for security, when in reality it is nothing more than a fragile cage we build around ourselves. True freedom, however, comes not from clinging, but from surrender. It comes from releasing the need to dominate, and instead trusting the natural flow of the universe. When we allow ourselves to be part of that flow, when we stop trying to direct it, we begin to experience life as it is meant to be lived, full of possibility, spontaneity, and wonder. You see, the universe unfolds at its own pace in its own way. It does not ask for our permission, and it does not require our approval, and yet it continues ever changing, ever evolving. The more we accept this, the more we embrace the unknown, the more we let go of the illusion of control, the more we find ourselves at peace with what is. So, the next time you feel the urge to control, to bend the world to your will, remember that in letting go you will find freedom, in surrender you will find peace, and in trust you will discover that life, in all its mystery, is far more beautiful when we allow it to unfold naturally. Control is an illusion we cling to, as if it were our only lifeline. It gives us the feeling that we are the captains of our ships, the masters of our fate. And yet, if you look closely, you will begin to see the cracks in this belief. For all our efforts, all our plans and strategies, life has a way of moving beyond our grasp. The weather changes, people leave, accidents happen, and emotions arise unbidden. Still, we cling to the idea that if we just try hard enough, hold on tight enough, we can keep the chaos at bay. But this very clinging, this desperate attempt to control, is what brings us the most suffering. You see, we have been taught from a young age that control equals strength, that to be a successful human being is to be in charge. But the truth is far more subtle. Life is not a machine with knobs and levers to be pulled and adjusted. It is not a program you can hack or a formula you can solve. Life is a dance, a symphony, a great unfolding mystery. And we are not the conductors of this orchestra. We are instruments within it, playing our part in a cosmic rhythm far beyond our understanding. The illusion of control gives us comfort, yes, but it also gives us anxiety. For as much as we try to shape and mold the world, deep down we know we cannot hold it all together. That knowledge lurks just beneath the surface, whispering in moments of silence in the space between thoughts. It tells us that we are not in control, and that frightens us. So we keep busy, we organize, we plan, we obsess. But all this activity is like trying to cage the wind with your bare hands. It slips through, and we are left exhausted. When we say control, what we often mean is the attempt to fix the future. We want to predict, to anticipate, to secure. We treat life as a problem to be solved, rather than a mystery to be lived. But the future, like the past, is a phantom. It has no real substance, The only reality is now, this moment right here. And in this moment there is no control to be had. There is only awareness, presence, attention. The wave does not control the ocean, and yet it is entirely of the ocean. So too we are part of life, not separate from it. The ego, the little self that insists it is in charge, is a marvelous fiction. It plays the role of the puppeteer, all the while being a puppet itself. And so the dance goes on, and we believe we are leading, when in truth we are being led by something infinitely more vast, more ancient, more profound. There is a great relief in understanding this, a peace that comes not from mastery, but from surrender, to realize that you do not need to be in control, because there is nothing to control. The river flows of its own accord, the seasons turn, the stars burn and die. The heart beats, the lungs breathe, and life goes on, with or without your permission. Now, surrender is not the same as giving up. It is not apathy. It is the deep wisdom of recognizing that life is intelligent, and that your role is not to dominate, but to participate. To be fully here, to feel it all, to respond with authenticity rather than strategy. You become like a dancer moving with the music instead of against it. And in that movement there is a joy that control can never offer. So let go, not out of weakness, but out of strength. Trust that life knows what it's doing. Trust that you are part of something vast and mysterious and alive, and when the winds shift and the tides change, do not resist, move with them. For control is a beautiful illusion, but life is real. The more we try to control, the more we find ourselves out of control. It's a paradox, isn't it? The tighter we grip the reins, the more the horse pulls in directions we don't expect. The more we try to impose order on chaos, the more we find ourselves drowning in it. Control, in its essence, is a futile effort. It's an attempt to push against the flow of life, as if we, the small individual, could dictate the immense currents of existence. And yet we persist in this belief, thinking that if we only manage a little tighter, if we just push harder, we will somehow tame the storm. But what we don't realize is that the more we struggle, the less control we actually have. When we grip life so tightly, it's like trying to grasp water in our hands. The more we squeeze, the more it slips away. We become consumed by the effort, lost in the illusion of control, unable to see the beauty of life as it simply is. It's in those moments when we're trying to dictate every outcome, every path, every twist and turn, that life begins to spiral out of our grasp. Our health suffers, our relationships fray, our peace of mind disappears. We believe that if we can control everything around us, we will find happiness, but this pursuit of control only leads to a deeper sense of anxiety, a constant fear of what could go wrong. We become trapped, like a bird in a cage of our own making, unable to see that the door is wide open. Think about it. When you're out in nature, when you're watching the waves crash against the shore, or when you're listening to the rustling of leaves in the trees, do you feel the need to control them? No, you simply observe, you feel, you experience. Nature moves on its own accord, not because it is trying to prove a point or follow a set of instructions, but because it is simply being, and it is in that very beingness, in that effortless flow, that we see the truth. Control isn't the answer. Surrender is. We often confuse control with strength, thinking that if we can master our environment, we can master our inner world as well. But strength isn't in holding on, it's in letting go. It's in the recognition that we don't have to have everything figured out. We don't have to solve every problem. We don't have to know every answer. The more we let go of the need to control, the more we open ourselves to the vast potential that life holds. The more we try to force the world into a shape we want, the more it resists, and the more we find ourselves falling deeper into disarray. Life doesn't work by our design, nor should it. It's much grander than that. Imagine a river. When the river flows, it doesn't stop to calculate the obstacles ahead. It doesn't panic when rocks appear in its path. It simply flows, adapting, changing course where necessary, moving forward without resistance. The river knows something we don't. It knows that to resist what is, to fight against what arises, is a waste of energy. It understands that true freedom comes from flowing with life, not against it. Control creates resistance. It creates a wall between us and life. It is the belief that we are separate from the world around us, that we must fight to maintain our place in it. But when we release this idea of separation, when we stop trying to control every detail, we discover something incredible. Life unfolds in ways we never could have imagined. The more we trust in the process, the more we surrender to the flow, the more we allow things to be as they are, the more we experience peace. The illusion of control is something we are taught from an early age. We are told to plan, to organize, to make sure everything is in its place. We are taught that success is measured by how well we keep everything in check. But this is a lie. Life is not a checklist. It is not a project to be completed. It is a mystery to be lived, a song to be sung, and the more we try to dictate the tempo, the more out of sync we become with its melody. So, let go of the need to control. Stop fighting against the flow. Trust in the river of life and allow yourself to be carried by it. The more we try to hold on, the more we slip into chaos. But the more we release, the more we find ourselves in harmony. When we stop trying to control, we discover that we were never truly out of control at all. We were just resisting the very thing that was always with us, life itself. Life moves in a natural flow, a dance we cannot force or predict. It is a rhythm, an ebb and flow that we cannot dictate, no matter how much we wish we could. We try to plan, we try to organize, we try to make sense of it all, believing that if we only push hard enough, we can align life to our will. But this, as many of us discover over time, is an exercise in futility. Life is not a machine to be fine-tuned or a formula to be solved. It is a living, breathing thing, constantly shifting, constantly evolving, and far beyond our attempts to control it. This is not to say that life is chaotic or random. On the contrary, there is a profound order within the apparent chaos. Just as the seasons change without our intervention, or the stars move in their eternal dance across the sky, so too does life unfold in its own time and manner. The challenge is not to impose our will upon it, but to allow ourselves to move with it. Just as a dancer does not force the music, but listens and responds to its beats, so too must we listen to the rhythm of life. We often find ourselves struggling against this flow, pushing against it, trying to shape it according to our desires. We forget that the beauty of life lies not in our control over it, but in our participation within it. Life is a dance, and we are not the choreographers, but the dancers. To step into this dance, to feel its rhythm and flow, we must surrender the illusion of control and trust that the music will carry us where we need to go. There is an art to this. It requires a kind of letting go, a willingness to be present in the moment without trying to predict what comes next. This doesn't mean passivity. It doesn't mean we sit back and do nothing. Quite the opposite. It means that we engage with life fully, but without the need to force outcomes. We move, we act, we respond, but we do so in harmony with the natural flow of things. We recognize that the dance is not about forcing each step into place, but about following the flow of the music, allowing the rhythm to guide us. This is where so many of us get caught up. We live in a culture that teaches us to plan, to calculate, to predict. We are told that if we can control the future, if we can anticipate every move, we can avoid failure, avoid disappointment. But life, as it turns out, does not work this way. No matter how many plans we make, no matter how much we try to control, there will always be elements we cannot predict. There will always be unknowns, surprises, twists and turns that we didn't see coming, and that in itself is the beauty of it. It is in the uncertainty, in the spontaneity, that life reveals its true magic. When we learn to move with the flow rather than against it, something incredible happens. We begin to experience life more deeply. We stop being so focused on the destination and start to enjoy the journey. The struggle fades away, and what remains is a sense of peace, a sense of connection to the world around us. We begin to see that life is not a problem to be solved, but a mystery to be experienced. And the more we allow ourselves to dance with it, the more we discover that we are not separate from the flow of life, but an essential part of it. The flow of life is not something to fear or resist. It is not something that exists outside of us. We are part of it. The very pulse of the universe, the heartbeat of existence, is in each of us. We are not the ones who impose the rhythm, but the ones who move within it. And when we stop trying to control every moment, when we stop trying to predict every step, we open ourselves to a deeper understanding of the dance. We begin to see that we are not simply playing the music. We are the music itself. So let go of the need to control. Let go of the illusion that you can predict or force the future. Life is a flow, a dance, and the only way to truly experience it is to step into it with open arms, with an open heart. Move with the rhythm, feel the music, and trust that the dance will carry you where you need to go. When we learn to follow the flow, we discover that life is not something we have to control. It is something we are meant to experience, to be a part of, in all its unpredictable beauty. The illusion of control is born from the fear of uncertainty. It is a natural instinct to want to feel secure, to believe that we have mastery over the forces shaping our lives. But beneath this desire for control lies something deeper, something that often goes unnoticed. It is the fear of the unknown, the anxiety that comes from facing a world that is unpredictable, mysterious, and at times chaotic. We fear that if we don't control the future, if we don't map out every detail, we will be lost in the vast, unpredictable expanse of existence. And so we try to plan, we try to build frameworks around our lives, rigid structures meant to give us a sense of safety. But no matter how tightly we hold on to our plans, no matter how carefully we construct our vision of the future, the world remains stubbornly unpredictable. Events unfold in unexpected ways. People change, the tides shift, life happens with or without our permission. Yet, in the face of this uncertainty, we cling to the illusion of control, as though it were the only thing that could save us from the discomfort of not knowing what comes next. This fear is born out of our need for stability, a longing to know what is coming and to be prepared for it. We look at the world around us and we want to make sense of it. We want to believe that if we do everything right, if we manage all the variables, we will find a path to certainty. But here lies the paradox. The more we try to control the uncertainty, the more we imprison ourselves within it. The tighter we hold on, the more fragile our sense of security becomes. We trap ourselves in an endless loop of planning, strategizing, and worrying, all in an attempt to create a sense of certainty that will never truly come. This desire for control is not inherently wrong. It's a response to the natural human condition of being aware of our mortality, of being confronted with a world that we cannot always predict or control. But what we often fail to see is that in attempting to control everything, we shut ourselves off from the natural flow of life. The more we try to impose our will on the world, the more we isolate ourselves from the beautiful, chaotic, and unpredictable dance of existence. In truth, the more we surrender to the uncertainty, the more we find peace. The more we accept that we cannot know everything, the more we become open to the richness of the unknown. The unknown is not something to fear, but something to embrace. It is in the unknown that the possibilities of life unfold. When we stop trying to control every outcome, we open ourselves to the magic of life's surprises. We allow room for creativity, for spontaneity, for the unexpected blessings that come when we stop grasping for certainty. The fear of uncertainty leads us to believe that if we don't control the situation, it will spiral out of control. But life itself is a process of constant change and transformation. Everything, from the smallest pebble to the grandest star, is in a state of becoming. And so, by its very nature, life cannot be controlled. To try to do so is to fight against the current of existence, to attempt to tame a force that is meant to be wild and free. This does not mean that we are powerless or passive in the face of life's unpredictability. It means that we are active participants, not masters, of the unfolding story. The more we let go of the need to control, the more we realize that we are part of a greater whole, a vast interconnected web of life that moves beyond our understanding. When we release our grip on certainty, we begin to trust in the inherent wisdom of life itself. We stop forcing and start flowing, allowing ourselves to be guided by the currents of existence rather than constantly trying to steer them. It is when we let go of the need to control that we truly experience freedom. The fear of uncertainty fades, replaced by a sense of trust, of surrender. We realize that we don't need to know what's coming next. We don't need to have all the answers. Life is a journey, and the beauty lies not in knowing the destination, but in walking the path with an open heart, open to whatever comes. So, the next time you feel the urge to control, to plan, to map out every detail, remember this: the illusion of control is born from fear, and it is only by surrendering that fear, by embracing uncertainty, that we can find true peace. The future will come as it will, and the unknown will always be with us. But it is in our openness to the unknown that life's greatest gifts are revealed. True freedom comes from surrender, from letting go of the need to dominate. It is a concept that often escapes our grasp, especially in a world that constantly pushes us to assert ourselves, to claim power, to control everything around us. We are taught that freedom is the ability to shape the world according to our will, to impose our desires onto the world and bend it to our advantage. But what if true freedom is not found in this struggle to control? What if it is found in the gentle art of letting go? The desire to dominate comes from a deep-rooted fear, a fear of being vulnerable, a fear of being out of control. When we feel uncertain, when we face the vastness of life's unpredictability, we react by trying to assert our dominance. We believe that if we can control, if we can direct, if we can make everything fit neatly into our plans, then we will find safety, security, and peace. But this is a false sense of freedom. It is an illusion, a prison built with our own hands. The more we try to control, the more we find ourselves ensnared by it. We tighten our grip on the world, thinking that we are in charge, but in reality, it is the very act of gripping that holds us captive. True freedom does not come from having everything under control. It comes from releasing the need to control at all. It is in surrendering to life as it is, with all its unpredictability, with all its messiness, that we find the deepest peace. Surrender in this sense does not mean giving up or being passive. It is not about stepping back from life and allowing it to happen to us. It is about engaging with life fully, without the constant need to manipulate or force outcomes. To surrender is to trust in the flow of life, to trust that there is a wisdom beyond our understanding, guiding us toward what we need, even when we cannot see the path ahead. It is to accept that we do not have all the answers, that we are not the masters of this vast universe, but rather we are part of it. Think of a river. The river does not try to control its course. It does not fight against the rocks, the bends, the obstacles in its way. Instead, it flows, moving with the terrain, adapting to what is in front of it. It surrenders to the natural flow of life, and in doing so, it is free. It is free from the struggle, free from the need to control. It moves effortlessly because it knows that resistance only brings suffering. In the same way, when we surrender to life, we stop fighting against the current. We stop trying to force our will onto everything, and instead, we begin to move with the flow. This does not mean we abandon our responsibility or give up on our dreams. It means that we stop trying to control every outcome and instead we become open to whatever arises. We let life unfold, trusting that it is unfolding in exactly the way it needs to. The act of surrender is an act of trust. It is the recognition that there is a force greater than our ego, greater than our personal desires, that is at work in the world. When we let go of the need to dominate, we step into alignment with this greater force. We no longer feel the need to prove ourselves, to control others, or to bend the world to our will. We can simply be, in the moment, fully present, fully engaged with life as it is. True freedom comes when we release the illusion that we are in control. It is when we let go of the desire to dominate the world, when we stop seeing ourselves as separate from it, and instead recognize that we are a part of this vast, interconnected web of life. We are not isolated, we are not alone, we are part of something much bigger, and in surrendering to this truth, we find the freedom to live authentically, to experience life fully without fear or resistance. The paradox of freedom is this: the more we let go of the need to dominate, the more freedom we experience. The more we release our grip on the world, the more we find ourselves in harmony with it. Surrender does not mean weakness or passivity. It means strength, because it requires a deep trust in life itself. And in that trust we find the true liberation of the soul. So let go. Let go of the need to control. Let go of the need to dominate. In doing so, you will discover a freedom greater than anything you could ever force into existence. It is the freedom of surrender, the freedom to be fully alive, fully present, fully at peace with the flow of life. We mistake control for security when in truth it only breeds anxiety. This is one of the great paradoxes of life. We believe that if we can control our circumstances, if we can hold tight to the reins of our lives, we will find safety, stability, and peace. We set goals, we make plans, and we construct elaborate strategies to ensure that everything follows the path we've chosen. And yet, the more we try to control, the more we find ourselves gripped by anxiety, as though the very act of controlling has entangled us in a web of uncertainty. At the heart of this mistake is the belief that security is something we can manufacture, something we can produce through effort and force. But security is not something that can be controlled. It is not something that can be held in our hands or neatly organized into a plan. Security is not a fixed point, not a destination we can reach. It is not something we can manipulate. True security comes from the deep understanding that life is inherently uncertain and unpredictable, and yet we can still find peace within that uncertainty. When we attempt to control everything, we are essentially saying to the world, "I am afraid." I am afraid of what might happen if I don't have a plan for every possibility. I am afraid of the unknown, and so I must hold on tighter, push harder, and control more. This fear is rooted in the illusion that the future can be fully known, that if we just manage the variables, we can avoid the unexpected. But the more we try to control, the more we realize that the future is always just out of our reach. The unknown cannot be contained. Life will never be fully predictable, and yet we continue to grasp. We continue to try to force outcomes. We try to shape people, situations, and circumstances to fit our desires, believing that in doing so we will protect ourselves from the discomfort of the unknown. But in truth, the very act of control creates its own anxiety. The tighter we grip, the more we fear losing our hold. We become preoccupied with what might go wrong, what might slip through our fingers, and the result is a constant state of tension, stress, and worry. True security is not found in trying to control every moment. It is found in the ability to be at peace with the uncertainty of life, to trust that even when things are not within our control, we are still okay. Life is unpredictable, yes, but that does not mean we are fragile or unprepared. The truth is, we are far more resilient than we give ourselves credit for. We have an innate capacity to adapt, to learn, and to grow through whatever challenges come our way. Security, then, is not about avoiding the unexpected. It is about trusting that we can handle whatever comes, even if we don't know what that will be. This trust in the unknown does not come easily. It requires a shift in perspective. It requires letting go of the illusion that we can control everything and embracing the reality that life is a dance, a flow that moves beyond our understanding. It means accepting that we cannot predict every turn or control every outcome. But this acceptance is liberating. It is the realization that, in the face of uncertainty, we can still find peace. We can still feel secure, not because we are in control, but because we are in harmony with the flow of life itself. Security is found not in domination, but in surrender. It is found in letting go of the need to control and instead embracing the uncertainty, trusting that whatever comes our way, we will meet it with strength and grace. We are not fragile beings at the mercy of life's chaos. We are participants in an ever unfolding story, and we have the resilience to move through it, no matter where it leads. So, let go of the illusion that control equals security. The more we cling to control, the more we feed our anxiety. The more we let go, the more we find a deep and abiding peace. True security comes not from the absence of uncertainty, but from the presence of trust in the face of it. Life is not something we can control, but it is something we can live with in all its unpredictability with confidence and peace. The universe unfolds in its own time and manner, far beyond our grasp. We often deceive ourselves into thinking that we can somehow direct the course of the cosmos, that we can bend time, shape the future, and dictate the events of the world to our will. We look at the vastness of existence and believe that by sheer force of will we can carve out a path that leads us to our desired outcomes. But the truth is far simpler and far more profound than this illusion of control. The universe operates on its own rhythm, its own natural laws, and its own mysterious timing. It is a vast and intricate web of forces, far more complex than we can fully understand, and it does not adhere to the schedules or expectations that we impose on it. Every moment, every interaction, every occurrence is part of a grand tapestry, a flow of events that stretches across time and space, far beyond our ability to comprehend or influence. We are but one thread in that tapestry, woven into a story that is far larger than the one we imagine for ourselves. When we try to impose our limited will on the universe, we create friction. We disrupt the natural flow of life, fighting against forces that are beyond our control. In our effort to make things happen according to our desires, we become anxious, frustrated, and disillusioned when things do not unfold as we planned. But the universe does not bend to our commands. It unfolds according to its own laws in its own time, and in ways we cannot always see or predict. And in this unfolding there is a kind of wisdom that we often fail to recognize, a wisdom that does not come from human intellect or effort, but from the inherent order of the cosmos itself. The more we try to control the universe, the more we separate ourselves from its natural flow. We forget that we are part of this vast, interconnected reality. We are not separate from it, but intrinsically connected to it. The very air we breathe, the food we eat, the relationships we form, the challenges we face, they are all part of this greater unfolding. When we let go of the need to control, we begin to experience a deeper connection to the universe, a sense of peace that comes from understanding that we are not alone in this journey. We are part of something much larger, something that moves beyond our individual lives, and yet includes them within its expansive reach. Life moves in cycles, in patterns that repeat in their own time. Just as the seasons shift, just as day turns into night, just as the stars move across the sky, the universe unfolds in its own way. We cannot rush it, we cannot force it, and we cannot predict it, but we can trust it. We can trust that the universe has its own timing, its own rhythm, and that our lives are part of that greater dance. When we release the need to control the timing of our lives, we make space for something much more profound to emerge. We allow life to surprise us, to present us with opportunities and challenges that we may never have anticipated. We stop forcing, and we start flowing with the natural currents of existence. The moments we try to force into being are often the ones that slip away from us, just beyond our reach. But the moments that come naturally, the ones that emerge when we let go of control, are often the ones that bring the greatest rewards. They are the ones that resonate with the deepest truth, the truth of the universe itself. The universe is not something we can master. It is not a puzzle we can solve, a force we can dominate. It is a living, breathing entity that moves and grows, unfolding in its own mysterious way. The more we accept this, the more we open ourselves to its wisdom. The more we surrender to its natural rhythms, the more we find ourselves in harmony with it, moving effortlessly along the path that is uniquely ours to walk. So let go of the need to control the universe. Let go of the belief that you can bend it to your will. Instead, surrender to its unfolding, trust in its timing, and allow yourself to be part of the greater flow. You are not separate from the universe. You are a part of it, and in embracing that truth, you will find a peace that transcends any illusion of control. The universe unfolds in its own time and manner, and when we align ourselves with that, we find ourselves exactly where we need to be. To let go of control is to trust in the greater rhythm of existence. We are all, in our own way, orchestrating our lives, believing that if we could just fine-tune the details, if we could just master the tempo, everything would fall into place. We construct our lives with rigid plans, controlled movements, and a constant, quiet anxiety that arises when things don't proceed as expected. But there's a profound shift that occurs when we realize that the universe does not need our control, nor does it benefit from it. In fact, the more we let go of our desire to control, the more we align ourselves with the true rhythm of existence, the natural flow that has always been there, guiding us, even when we cannot see it. Think of the universe as a vast symphony. Every individual, every moment, every experience is a note in that symphony. We may try to dictate the timing of our note, to force it to sound at a specific time, but the rhythm of the universe is far greater than the tiny beat we attempt to impose. The more we try to control the tempo, the more out of sync we become with the music of existence. It is in releasing the need to control the music that we begin to truly hear it. This grand composition that has been unfolding since the beginning of time, long before we were born and long after we are gone. To let go of control is to trust that the rhythm of life knows where it is going, even if we do not. It is a leap of faith, a surrender to the flow that carries us along. When we try to control every outcome, we cut ourselves off from the spontaneity of life. We become disconnected from the natural progression of events, trying to force things to happen according to our own limited understanding. But when we trust in the rhythm of existence, we allow ourselves to be carried by something far more powerful than our individual will. This is not to say that we become passive, that we give up responsibility or stop making choices. Trusting in the rhythm of existence does not mean sitting back and waiting for life to happen to us. Rather, it means understanding that life is not a series of rigid steps that we must control. It is a dance, an unfolding, and our role is to participate fully, not by imposing our will, but by moving with the flow. It is an active participation, but one that comes from surrender, from releasing our need to dominate. When we trust the rhythm, we begin to see that life's events, even the most difficult and painful ones, are part of the greater unfolding. We stop fighting against the natural course of things, and instead we move in harmony with them. This doesn't mean everything becomes easy or that life always goes as planned. Life still has its challenges, its twists and turns, but when we trust the rhythm, we begin to understand that everything is as it should be, even when it doesn't match our expectations. We learn to flow with life, not against it, and as we surrender to this flow, we begin to experience a deeper peace, a peace that comes from knowing we are not the sole architects of our reality. There is a greater force, a greater rhythm at work, and we are part of it. This realization brings a profound freedom, the freedom to let go, to trust, and to move with life rather than trying to bend it to our will. When we stop trying to control, we find ourselves in the flow of existence. We find that the music of life is far more beautiful, far more intricate than we ever imagined. We cease to be the conductor, frantically waving our arms to get everything in line, and instead we become part of the orchestra, playing our unique note at the perfect moment. And in that moment we experience true peace. To let go of control is to open ourselves up to the infinite possibilities that life holds. It is to trust that the universe, in all its complexity, has a rhythm that is unfolding perfectly, and we are not separate from it. We are a part of it. When we embrace this trust, we are freed from the constant tension of trying to make things happen. We relax into the flow, knowing that we are being carried toward exactly where we need to be, at the exact moment we are meant to be there. The rhythm of existence is perfect, and when we trust it, we find that we, too, are perfectly aligned within it.